Steve Schofield here from Schofield's Flowers Social Club. As you know, they call me Scof.
And I'm Chris Fratterigo. People call me Fratty.
What's up, Fratty? Who do we got on today as a guest?
Yeah, well, we got the wonderful Brandi Hamma from Hammatime Fitness joining us to talk all things working out and getting yourself in shape from the COVID-19 that we have all experienced. And I mean, not the pandemic, the 19 pounds that we put on since COVID started.
Brandi, nice to meet you, and thank you.
Hi there, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, yeah. So, what a change in our world, huh, for the last year with fitness. I could only imagine with all the gyms and everything closing, huh?
Yeah, just a little bit. It's definitely the ultimate challenge in a career in the sense of typically some of the healthiest people are the people who are consistently in the gym. So kind of taking that away from us for a moment was kind of traumatizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it all came to a crashing halt for me too, because I just had a new baby. She was about 4 months at the time, so I'd just gotten back to playing hockey, just started trying to work out a little bit, and then it was like everything shut down, gym shut down, playing hockey shut down, and I was already, it's just after the holidays, so you already got the holiday pounds on. You're now sitting at home, not doing anything, and it was just like one thing after the other. I think I ended up being like just over 200 pounds, and even at my like most fit, most muscle that I've ever had on my body, I weighed like 195, and I was going to go play pro. Like, so it was definitely a change to the point where I started running. I had nothing I could do. And I'm like, I'm just going to go for runs. Like, I just need that clarity, that free time to get in my head and just work out some pent up energy. And I hate running, but I still did it almost every day. I bought a weight vest, like, so fortunate. I mean, I'm sure you can talk more about, what you've been able to do for your clients, but I mean, just having something to do while we're all at home was for my, own sanity was so beneficial. I can only imagine how it had changed you because you were in it every day.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, I don't know how to slow down. So I was just like, okay, we're rolling with the punches. How do I work with this? So how I began to navigate it was starting to do Instagram live workouts.
Oh, wow.
Everyone was home anyways for the most part. So I was pretty much I myself, because of how often I kind of started doing Instagram live workouts, as well as because those were just short, like 20-30 minute workouts for the most part. And then doing my own strength workouts. I was in the beginning of it. I luckily for the most part kept moving and was working out about 6 days a week, 2 times a day, because I was doing these Instagram live workouts where I'm teaching it and doing it the whole time.
Wow.
Wow.
And then doing my own stuff for my own particular goals. So I know that my clients were kind of in a panic of they have particular goals, like you said, the post holiday kind of weight, it was their outlet from their, hard work days and life frustrations and whatnot. So all of that being taken away, luckily, I'd say a good amount of my clients were still like, we need something. What can we do? So Instagram Live was kind of the first way that I went about doing workouts, and luckily I have an okay enough following and train some clients that have a pretty decent following that were able to kind of like, I'm doing this, kind of help, like if you want to keep moving, then that definitely helped me kind of get some traction on those, and it definitely helped keep some people moving. And I made it, obviously I had pretty much no income for that moment, so it was like a free or donation based situation, and luckily people who were doing them and fortunate enough to still be working were donating little bits here and there and stuff, so it still helped me a little bit have something for the moment. But that, and then it forced me to go the direction of learning how to be an online coach. With having an online training program, it was something that people would always ask me about, and I was like, I didn't have time to learn that whole, it's a whole new realm, like, just, and I'm not tech savvy. Like, I am awful
Right.
about anything like that. I feel like it takes me forever to figure out things like that. So if it gave me the time to learn, and I had a few clients be my guinea pigs for online training for about a month or two, so I could get familiar with the training app and the structure and how I want to do things, how I want to communicate, how the app works itself. And then once I felt comfortable enough, I opened that up and then got some traction on that, luckily, for online training clients. There was a moment I was doing some outside boot camps, which in perspective, it's a great concept, but usually it's just really tough making it work for a lot of people's schedules. Like, it sounds great to everyone, but the schedule, scheduling wise, it doesn't work, or people didn't quite feel comfortable because of what was going on. Even though I'm an avid believer that what's going on is real. So I was definitely treating it like I'm trying to keep space between people, disinfect stuff, like use hospital grade sanitizers. Like I was very on top of it in that way. But of course, you can't push people to be like, everyone has felt different about what's going on over this time. So it's kind of just working with what I could, with either sometimes doing outside trainings or online training or Instagram live, just kind of whatever I could do to keep everyone moving however I possibly could.
That's great.
I know.
Go ahead, Fred.
I was going to say, now I know you haven't always been in the fitness, space. Was this something that you've always wanted to do? How did, this kind of come about?
So, ironically enough, I did weight training as as an elective class in high school, at least 3 semesters, and I loved it. I was always the person that appreciated strength training more than any other activity because I grew up with really bad asthma. So running was not a thing. I played softball growing up, but still, even then, like, running was tough. I was always the kid that had to take my inhaler in the teacher's office 30 minutes before my class, and had to wait until like I didn't have the cardiovascular endurance for anything. So strength training, luckily, it's not quite the same style of training, and I could make that work. So I really enjoyed that in high school. Come about, I'd say, the time of like 1920, I had gotten my own first personal trainer and was training 5 days a week. And I was working at a Mediterranean style restaurant where I could eat clean and healthy all the time. And I was hungry every 2 hours. And it was just the perfect situation. Anytime I was hungry, just had some hummus and blue corn chips or chicken breast. It was like the most ideal setup. And it became a constant in my life to be active in the gym, per se. My family has a history of diabetes and health issues, and before I got a personal trainer, I had the worst immune system, also because I was hardly sleeping, working myself to death because I moved out on my own the second I could. So I had 2, 3 jobs and was in beauty school and kind of all over the place. So I ran my immune system into the ground. And then I shifted my lifestyle, shifted my eating, getting a personal trainer, having the gym be a constant in my life. And that was 10 years ago. And my health has been completely different since then. So, because especially my family history kind of scared me, because diabetes is the foundation of what caused my grandma to pass away, and at an early age. And multiple other family members of mine have type 2 diabetes, and if you don't take a hold of it'll kill you. So along with just like my asthma, I wanted that to improve, and just my overall quality of life, and not go down that route, because we do have control. It's just a matter of taking control before it's too late. So what made me shift my careers from being a bartender, a salon assistant, everything that I was doing before all this, was being in the relationship that I'm in now, where I'm a stepmom, and bartending at least for me, how I was, because I was a bartender and a supervisor before this, and being in school, I was not a present stepmom, and hardly very present girlfriend or fiance. And it was kind of killing me to the point of just like, man, I'm just never around. And it was just a bummer. I was just missing out on so much, and bartending till 2 a.m. and working at, like, we only get my stepkids every weekend. And I just had no time with them because I was always working, and I was just like, this isn't it. And kind of started school out of nowhere, which was an associate's program. You don't need to do an associate's program to be a personal trainer. It was just if I wanted to further it into like kinesiology or something specialized.
Yeah.
And made that shift, and I was at a gym that gave me the opportunity to shadow under the owners, and basically learn physically, which I learn better, so much better, more hands-on than I do in a classroom. I can't learn in a classroom to save my life. It doesn't do it for me. But I was shadowing, and when they gave me the okay of like, when you're ready, you can start, taking a couple clients and start kind of getting the feel for things and stuff. And it blew up so much faster than I anticipated. I was getting clients quicker than I expected. And I went from training like 3 girls one-on-one to now, between doing in-person clients and online training clients, I have about 55.
Wow.
So
wow.
Awesome.
I don't stop.
That's great. I love the health aspect too, because I have allergies, and I never knew I had allergies until all of a sudden I was just like coughing and I couldn't breathe, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And I went and saw an allergist, and they were like, you got the testing, and they said you're allergic to everything. I'm like, well, I was when I was a kid, because I'm blonde hair, fair skin. But if you're fair skin, you're typically more susceptible to getting allergy for things like that, supposedly. So I was like, and then, they didn't know about, not drinking milk and lactose intolerant and, just things like that either. So, as a kid, they didn't know about ADHD. The nun would kick you in the ankle and hit you over the head with the ruler. So, but I learned a lot about, so I eventually found out that I said to the doctor, look, I don't know what's going on, but you got to like get me a body scan. You got to figure this shit out. And turned out I had nose polyps, which was just terrible. And I had to go and have surgery for that and everything. And then I changed a little bit of my eating and everything. And then, but I mean, working out for me and doing and jumping and all that, just like, I have to take shots every month, but I mean, really opened me up, man. My lungs were like, if I work out, I am feeling like $1 million, period. And then I think about my eating habits too. And I'm on that diet right now. I don't know if you call it, but I'm intermittent fasting right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not eating till 12. I go 12 to 8 when I eat.
Gotcha. Okay. And that works for some people, depending on like your schedule and your routine. Some people make it a lifestyle. Some people, it's a temporary solution to kind of repair their relationship with food.
Right.
So it goes a lot of different directions and has different benefits. I honestly did it for a little while, and then it got to a point where it wasn't really working with my schedule because I was working really early, so I just needed the fuel. So not eating till 11, I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. Like I was starving, and like because I was like 11.
Is it? I mean, my doctor, my allergist actually, when she walked in one day, I said, "Wow, you look fantastic. You lost some weight, huh?" She said, "I did," and she said, "I went on this fast, and I'm eating only between 12 and 8." And she goes, and I'm feeling like $1 million. I'm like, I'm going to try it. And so far I've lost 4 pounds last week. And, I've given up sweets, which is like, I'm a sweet freak. I didn't have sweets last night because we did an outdoor movie night with the kids and everything last night, which was really fun. And until the neighbors started pounding out the disco music. But, we had fun. And then, now I'm finding I don't know, by 12 o'clock, I am starving. Like,
depending, honestly, like, I think it works different for everyone. I don't consider it healthy or unhealthy. different eating styles work different for everyone when it comes to the 12 to 8 thing. If you're finding that you have enough energy to get through the day, you're sleeping well, you are getting the amount of nutrients and calories that your body needs, then if that works for you, then that's great. It's not unlikely that at some point our bodies constantly change, but that may not respond to it as well, which isn't necessarily a bad sign. But like I said, for me, I was in more of a bulking phase where I was trying to put on muscle. So waiting until then, when I was working all morning and
Right.
also working out before then, like where I was like, I can't wait till 11, where I was doing a heavy lifting class every Tuesday morning. And typically my intermittent schedule was 11 to 7, and my strength class was at 7:45 in the morning, and I was done by 9. And if I didn't have anything like besides the iced coffee water, I was like, I've got nothing in the tank right now to go and train my clients after this. So for me, it just stopped working because I needed more calories. I needed food. I was just like, when your body, when we're like hungry or to that point of starving, not craving, not so much craving, because craving and hunger are like totally different. But if our body is hungry, it's typically saying like, I need nutrients, like I need fuel, something to get me through this. So long as I'd say, so long as it's working for you, then awesome, keep doing it. But if it's getting to a point where you're fucking miserable doing it, don't do it anymore.
I think that's the good point, is that it's not so much that there's one thing that everyone should do. It's what works for you to get the results you're looking to accomplish. I know, like, if I waited to noon till eat, like, I would be so miserable. I'd be so cranky. The first thing my mom told my wife was, make sure he's fed, he gets cranky. And it's very true. Like, I'll be at work and I'll have my lunch at like noon, and then I'm, busy working. So I don't have time to snack. I don't have time to eat. By the time I get home, it's like 6:30. I physically feel like I'm almost getting sick. Like I kind of feel something in the back of my throat. Like I feel off. And as soon as I eat, I'm okay, that's gone. And I've noticed how much I need to have it. And I think it has something to do with, like, I just get low blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to have little snacks throughout the day, but it's just not always available. But then I have the problem that I just love food. So then my snacks turn into like small meals, and that's where I get myself into trouble.
And where that, depending on what your active routine is like, that's not necessarily the worst thing. If you're actively strength training 4 or 5 days a week, it's okay for those snacks to turn into small meals, because it's likely that your body needs it. Because if you're depriving it, you're probably going to be like, your progress is going to be stagnant, depending on what your overall physical goals are, whatever it is, like health wise, that your body needs to be focusing on. So
I think I noticed missing sugar, like cutting sugar, well, alcohol too. I had a glass of wine last night. I had 2 drinks all week. That's it. Where normally I would have 2 drinks a day.
Hey, that's huge progress. Like, I don't think that that's like necessarily bad at all. It's having the self-control and picking the choices of what you drink being important. And you know what I mean? Not having like, before, because I don't drink anymore, but before all this, I was a beer and whiskey kind of girl. And
really,
those are 2 fucking gold killers. So, as much as I like them, when I was trying to be like, just more disciplined with it, I was just like, because just whiskey has so much sugar and just caramel, and then beer is just gives you that nice cute little gut. And it's hard, but hey, going from 2 a day to 2 a week is huge progress. So
yeah. So and then drink it, I was like, I don't really, it was like, I don't need it. It's like, I'm sure I'm going to go out. I was one of those guys that like to get out once a week on a Thursday and get out with clients and have some cocktails. And then on Friday, didn't matter if I felt shit, because it's the end, it's TGIF. But it does matter. Now it does matter to me. I feel like, I feel like so much more clear-headed, and I feel like, yeah. And it wasn't like that my whole life. It was just during this pandemic. I was like, well, it's 5 o'clock. Let's have a cocktail.
Yeah.
Rather than going, well, it's 5 o'clock. Let's get on the bike.
Yeah, which is a great transition for sure, because definitely, especially the start of the pandemic, a lot of my clients, it had to be a conversation of, all right, like I'll give you some slack right now, but like we can't do this forever. Like I see your Instagrams and your stories, and I know what you're doing. Like,
right. You're like a detective. I've already seen you. You're drinking, you're partying, you're doing whatever.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, you didn't show up for our 8 a.m. session today and you were partying last night. I know exactly why. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just or you, like, you know, coming in for a session and looking and feeling like shit. And I'm like, oh, I was on your Instagram yesterday. So it's, yeah, it is kind of like a detective work, but it's also part of my job almost, like in a sense of accountability. Like, I don't tell anyone that they can't do anything. Like, I would never tell my clients, like, you can never drink again, or you can never have sugar again, you can never have this, because that's just not a way to live, and it's not realistic and it's not sustainable. So finding what works in the sense of cutting things down to a healthy rate, because before everything, I was definitely always a sweets person too. Like I was the type of person, like I needed, like, you have dinner and you have something sweet after, always.
That's my whole life.
Yeah. Like
I still am.
Yeah, really, Fratty? I just like
as soon as dinner's over, I'm like, cool, what's for dessert? Always.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's how it was just growing up. Like we'd eat dinner early too. I'd eat dinner at like 5 o'clock because I had to get, drive up to Lakewood or something for a hockey practice at 7. So it was like dinner, and right away it's like, cool, what's for dessert? And then 2 hours later I'm going to go play hockey. So I just had it then, and it just, to this day, as soon as we have a meal, I'm like, what's for dessert? Like dinner's an excuse to get closer to dessert almost, but it's definitely tricky. I have a whole like thing of cheesecake in my freezer that I don't eat, because I'm like, I don't need a slice of cheesecake. I don't need it. I'll just have like a little something here or there. And if I don't have it, I won't eat it. But once it's in the house, like I'm that person, I see it, I'm like, yeah, I'll take a bite here. I walk past it again. Oh, we have M&Ms. I'll take a little handful here. But if it's not here, I'm usually pretty good. It's just, if it's here, I want it.
Sure. Ryan's definitely notorious for getting things with Oreos for the kids. And I had to at one point be like, stop fucking buying Oreos. Like, I swear I will throw it away if you get it one more time, because I will eat it. The kids won't even have a chance to have it without me, because I'm the same way. Like I said, I like sweets. So for us, it's more so a matter of keeping like dark chocolate in the house, because at least dark chocolate, especially if you get like organic high cacao stuff, it's a little bit more bitter, but it's at least rich. At least still serves a nutritional purpose and being antioxidants and have like micronutrients and stuff. So it's like you don't feel as like shitty about it. And so like for my clients that I say like struggle with the sweet tooth, it's not a matter of cutting it out completely. It's just about making slightly better choices, or keeping some things in your house at all times, or even in your car at all times. So that way, when you're close to the gas station and you can stop and get some shitty candy bars or something like that, if you have some type of like dark chocolate trail mix, or some type of, for me, honestly, like I can get by okay with like cinnamon rice cakes, or at home having like rice cakes with like almond butter or jelly and some fruit or something like that, or like a Nutella spread or something, and I'm good. It hits the spot. But it takes time. To like get to that point, from dessert at night to I can have a bowl of like cut up fruit with like coconut whipped cream and be like satisfied. You know what I mean?
And I think it's like, I know from like, I mean, I played hockey, in college, at a professional level. So having some sort of like health and fitness was always, in the back of the mind. And I think nowadays kids are even more aware of it than we were. It was like kind of on that cusp of like eating right, cutting things out. I had a personal trainer during my playing days, and like we never talked specific foods of like, okay, you need to eat this, this, and this. It was more of like an outline of like, okay, here's how many calories, here's your macros, micros that you need, look it up and go there. But the one thing that was like always like stress is like, you got to find something that works for you, because like the reason most diets fail is they're just not sustainable. So this is a diet, not in the sense of like, all right, I need to get on this fad or do this thing to lose weight. Like I was actually looking to put on weight. I was eating like 4,000 calories with like 180 grams of protein a day, just trying to keep up with the rigorous training of working out for an hour, on the ice for an hour, stretching, all these different activities throughout the day.
You're burning
And
right there, man. You're burning like crazy.
yeah. And so like that, like it took me 6 months to put on like 10 pounds of muscle, eating 4,000 calories, because I was slowly building it up. And I mean, by the time I was done, I went from barely being able to do squats with just a bar because like my shoulders were all messed up. I had terrible form, to finishing off with like a 400, 405, one max rep back squat. And I had never squatted before that. And it was just like, it was a slow build. We just, kind of took our time, but it was sustainable. I could, like, it wasn't like day one, like, okay, eating this much food is hard. It was just being smart about what I ate and looking at what it was. So like, I could have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It had the fat, within reason that I needed. It had the protein that I needed, and I could eat it. And I just tallied up what I had, so it was sustainable. And then if I had gone a little bit heavy on some sugars in the morning, or for something, I just knew later on the day to tailor what I was going to have that day and do it. Or if I happen to go over, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Tomorrow I just go right back to my diet.
And food is fuel. It's not a punishment. It's not, it's not, or it doesn't necessarily need to be a reward. I understand sometimes the mindset of like, I earned this, like I want this like few slices of pizza type of mindset. But the punishment aspect of like, fuck, I had 2 donuts and you go on the Stairmaster for an hour, it's like, it's a trash mentality, and it's what makes people develop such a negative relationship with food, and what's created such a like awful, like, just with diet culture as a whole, rather than like making it more so being like, okay, what your calories consist of just being better quality, better choices, not you can only have this, this, and this, or you're doomed for failure type of mindset, because that's just simply not the case and stuff. So definitely creating, especially when it comes to personal trainers or trainers that are training athletes, like honestly, for the most part, like it's because the focus is more so on the protein and the muscle build, as opposed to like your food cannot look like this, this, or this. And it's more so about like the consistency of the calories that you're hitting, the consistency of your activity. Like you don't really hear quite as much nutrition talk in that sense, or at least not in a way of someone who's trying to lose 100 pounds or something. But where someone like that, yes, they do need a little bit of a stricter form of how they eat, because they likely have really negative eating habits that don't serve their body well.
Right.
And that's a matter. That's why I try my best to leave out the bad and the good of foods, and it's just positive or negative, or better choices, because food isn't bad. Food is
I think it has a lot to do with, anytime I've ever tried to lose weight or anything, and I was an athlete, so I always got, I was always in great shape and everything, but it's always about eating properly and clean, and working out is, key, and keeping a schedule and getting the night's sleep that you need, and just, a number of different things. And I think that
it's all the factors that are left out and aren't talked about enough. Like,
yeah. And I also, you mentioned it, you really got into lifting. There's a friend of mine, Camille Camper, and her husband's actually the president of Base Camp, and he was an athlete too. And I saw her one day and I said, God, you look you look fantastic. I said, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm weightlifting. I'm like, really? And she said, yes, weightlifting is fantastic for losing weight for women. And then on top of it, then you're giving your body, you're sculpting your body. And I was like, that's interesting, because there's a guy that I would sit next to at the gym, and I'm reading the paper on the bike. And I look at him, and he's just like, roar. He's in perfect shape. He's 72 years old, right? And I'm like, Pete, how the hell did you get like that? And he looks at me, he goes, not reading the fucking paper. And I go, okay. I go, can you train me? Would you train me? And he goes, yeah, I'll train you. He said, leave the fucking paper at home and be here at 6:30. I go, shit, I got a call with New York at 6:30. It's 9:30 there. Can I be here at 7? He goes, yeah, you wussy. Be here at 7. And don't be late. I was late by 5 minutes. He walked out on me. He's like, don't ever be late again. And I never was again. He was Vietnam. He was a Vietnam guy, funniest guy ever. We trained weights we did a different body part or two every day, and we always did our, I hated legs. We did the legs. It was just like, fuck. But I was never. That was when I went to your bachelor party, Fratty, and that is the best I've ever been in shape. Until
then the bachelor party, and about 17 beers and margarita pong and whatever else we did.
So I think it's a balance, right, Brandi? I mean, it has to do. I mean, I think it's great to have a look. You got to have the cardio, have something by body, having the proper weight training, and then also having somebody like you do you go into diets and things? I mean, do you talk to people about food?
So I'm not a nutritionist or dietitian. We get with their personal training, you get a general pretty good breakdown of going over nutrition and macros and stuff. I find that my niche, I guess you'd say, is more so training general population. So the average person. The average person is not going to go from never working out to counting macros and calories and working out 6 days a week. It's just not how it's going to go. So you put that kind of pressure on the general population, and they'll quit away from it real quick. So
So what I was going to ask you, what do you suggest to somebody that's like, oh God, I got to get back to it? Imagine, take your time and just set a regimen of time aside and just get to it, right?
I'm not the gnarliest trainer in the sense of being like you walk in 5 minutes late and I'm done with you type of thing. Like, which there's nothing wrong with that, because I think that anyone who comes from any type of military background, was in military, like that, they make the best trainers. Like, they don't mess around.
No, that guy did not. I never was late again.
Ever. And they make phenomenal trainers and coaches.
Yeah.
Sometimes almost to a fault, but hey, it's in anything. So when for me, more so with people, I try to give them a realistic approach about it. I'm not like in bikini competitor shape or anything like that. I'm not super buff or anything like that. So my whole thing is that I attract people who are like, okay, you have more like a realistic goal or a realistic body, in the sense of like, yeah, you have muscle, but you're also like I'm not like, I don't like super strict calorie like count. I don't super strict macro count. Like I'm not obsessive over it in that way, because it's just not my lifestyle. It's just not really what's worked best for me. I'm more so like, just move, whatever it is, like to move your body and make generally positive choices with our eating. That's kind of more so what it is for me. So someone who's new to it all, I'm really, I could say honestly, I'm a pretty patient person, in the sense of, especially in this last year as a trainer, I was already a patient person, but even more so now, because the amount of people that have dealt with job losses, personal life stress, income being cut, just life being flipped upside down. You can't expect the same thing from a person pre-pandemic in that sense. Like, you have to allow people to be human and feel things and stuff. And as someone who's also like an advocate about mental health, because I suffer from depression, anxiety on my own, that it's like I give people wiggle room and try to help them navigate when something's not working. Okay, what can we shift, or what is it that, because there's only so much I can do. I do have to, sometimes I have a hard time where like I feel responsible if someone's not getting quite the results that they're getting, but it either more times than not comes out that they're not being completely honest with me about what their regimen is outside of being with me, how they're eating, or how they're managing things like this. Like I said, sleep and stress management are two things that are not talked about nearly enough. And stress management and stress, if you don't have even the slightest grip on either of those, your body will not let go of that, because it's in constant survival mode and is constantly on high stress. So it's holding on and it will not let it go. So if you're not doing something to manage those things, then what you're doing with your eating and cardio and weightlifting, sometimes, I don't want to say is like useless, but you're not going to have the same benefits if you're not managing everything. And this is also why a lot of people give up on the journey, because it is how you manage your stress, how you sleep, how you eat, your cardio, how much water you're drinking, how much alcohol you're like. It's the relationships with the people around you. It's the conversations that you have with people. It's the the information and things that you intake on social media. Are you constantly feeling like shit about your body because of what you look at on the internet all the time? Are you constantly doing crash diets? Like, it's so many different things that is the reason why a lot of people, I don't want to say don't succeed, but they just walk away and give up, because it's a hard lifestyle shift. And if you're not ready
Sure.
to make it, or at least like give it the grace to have some baby steps in the right direction, then I mean, it's uncomfortable and it's not easy. So for the average person, definitely, like, more so, I start people off at like a couple days a week and just kind of typically try to food log or calorie count to some type of degree. But also in my field, I've dealt a lot with clients having eating disorders, which I do
Okay.
not specialize in. So talking about food can be very tricky. It's more so of, I don't ask about food, but I try to have like some conversations about just like, what are you struggling with? What can I help you with making a different choice? Do you need me to meet you at the grocery store to help you buy something different and not buy
Oh, I
that? In
love
the
that.
sense of
I
like,
love that. That's awesome.
things like that. Like, I try to, like I said, the human side of things. Like, we're not just machines. Like, we've got a lot of, people have a lot more trauma, a lot more stress, a lot more struggles this last year, especially. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You should
try
get
to,
into psychology too, maybe.
trust me, have like considered it, but there, I'm
No,
I'm I'm a Jill of all trades, master of none,
yeah,
besides this now, finally. But
yeah.
because I do a lot of things, so it's I do. I mean, my
That's nice.
therapist, because I've had a therapist for 6 years now, and she's told me, if you weren't doing what you're doing, I think you would be a great therapist. But I do love what I do, and I'm happy with it. So maybe down the line it could go that direction, but we'll see.
It's just a different type of therapy right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
It's like, for a lot of people, fitness is their therapy. It's
Yeah.
getting out. Like for me, I am like, I the more I do something, the better I get at it. But when I wasn't doing anything, I got really good at sitting on a couch and being comfortable just inside my house. But that was terrible for, mental health, and just feeling like not
Yeah.
having the most energy because I didn't need it. But at the same time, like, it just kind of like piled up and piled up. And then once I started running, even though I hate running, it was just a matter of, I was getting out, built up energy. I had time to just think about things and plan, and try to like figure out what our next steps were, because none of us are really working, and we're all just at home, kind of a thing. And so I would argue that you're already doing therapy, it's just a different form.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, because it's not even just people coming to me to work out. I'm also a gnarly empath, so if my clients are going through some shit, I carry it with me a little bit, or I try to check in on the sense of, is this workout gonna, I want people to feel better leaving than how they did when they walked
yeah.
in. You know what I
Well,
mean? So
it's pass it down. I mean, that's how you're going to get your clients, right? I mean, it's customer service is built into your business. You want to make sure that, somebody that says, like I say to somebody that, oh my God, you look fantastic, whether he or she, it's like, what are you doing? I'm seeing Brandi for, and then, your name gets passed and you have a new client and things like that. I think you learn a lot. Just, it was nice hearing you talk about your stepkids. That was wonderful to hear, because
yeah,
I have 4 kids and I have now, and it's amazing to have those kids at the house. My grandson's over today, and just hanging out with him, and you realize, like, yeah, I need to give up, I need to change my lifestyle, and I'm going to go into this level of my life because I want to make my partner happy, and you know what I mean. It's just nice to
yeah.
hear.
I mean, just being a present stepmom for me was the kind of the you know what a big part of what made me change, besides for me being like, okay, bartending and working in these corporate restaurants, it just wasn't it for me anymore and stuff. And I kind of had a hard time having the fake conversations with people at my bar top and stuff. And you know what I mean? For how many like good customers you have to shitty ones, it's a
Yeah,
tipping scale sometimes, you know what I mean? And like now in my career, I choose who I get to be around and who I service and who I have in space, because it also contributes to my mental health and my moods. And I like to be surrounded by like-minded people or motivated people, people who are striving to better themselves, and because that's how I am, and we feed off of it mutually, and it generally goes in a very positive direction for both of us in our lives. So being a present stepmom, being able to do that, granted, I mean, it is hard still, even because of doing the online business, in-person business. It never stops. I work 24/7 basically. When I'm, when I'm in bed and then I wake up, I'm constantly like, okay, what do we got to do next? But it also helps me set an example, in the sense of like, my stepdaughter's on a kick right now of how's your merch doing? Like, do you have any more clients today? Or like, just kind of I can tell, not in like a toot my own horn type of way, but just like, and she admires it. She's enjoying seeing my career grow, and she talks to me, she asks questions, like stuff about my clients, and like, I would, as a woman and a stepmother, like to empower like an 11-year-old girl, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
that's awesome.
Huge for
That's
me.
great.
Yeah, and it's I don't want to miss out on that, and we have conversations about it, and just kind of like give her the idea too, that like anything's possible. Like, the pandemic completely challenged my career, and it was terrifying for a moment, but made it work. And you can make something from from nothing, or you can make something grow, no matter the hard circumstances and stuff. So I think that's important for her to see that, because I know we all work different jobs. Ryan works for a clothing company. His ex-wife works for a bail bonds company, and me having my own business, she can see that we can all, make it work. And whatever direction you want to go in life, like there's no wrong way to do it. You know what I mean? So kind of just setting that example too, because I definitely wasn't the type of person that was like, I did beauty school right out of high school, and I realized I did not love hair. I enjoyed it and I was good at it, but I didn't love it. And then I didn't go back to, I was 27. So that was like an 8-year gap. And it was really freaking hard. But I mean, hey, like, like I said, there's no one way to do it. So I like for her to see that whatever route you want to go, however you want to do it, like there's no wrong way. So
that's awesome. And obviously, thank you for jumping on and chatting with us. And I'm sure the viewers are going to want to learn where they can follow you and find out more. Where is that for everyone?
So there's a lot of different ways. So Hammatime Fitness on Instagram. I'm gonna have I have availability for online programming, but for the most part, people communicate with me or reach out to me via like message or email on there. I'm gonna have some for the ladies, some booty programs coming up here really soon, because I have some resistance bands that I'm releasing either next week or the week after. So basically just Hammatime Fitness on Instagram or website, pretty much, or hammatimefitness.com is the main ways to communicate with me.
Awesome. And I know it's me, it's a great follow. Just the other day, my wife and I were working out, and to what we talked about earlier, like sometimes like if I haven't eaten, I just don't, my energy's like gone. And it was just, I came home from work, we got a chance to get a workout in, and then I was going to eat my dinner, and I just didn't have it. But I think either that day or the day before, you posted something that was just like, even if you don't do your best, you did something. And I was like, I needed that, because I just was like, all my numbers that I was writing down were less than the week before. And I was just like, well, I'm like, literally had nothing, but you know what? I did something. It was better than just mailing in, not working out that day. So even if people end up not training with you, it's a great follow just to, help motivate or realign with, positive thinking about their workout and food and everything.
And that's where like I do try to use that space too, just to be, like I said, the human side of things. Like, not every person who, you know what I mean? Like, we're all human. I don't look like some type of Fitspo influencer, and that's not my goal. And, you know, like, I want people to see that, like, it's not all perfect. Like, the journey is not like a steady, like, uphill, or your weight loss is in a steady decline. Like, there's always struggles, there's always battles. It's not always smooth sailing. So I try to give people perspective of, like, okay, even if, like, have a shitty workout, but tomorrow's gonna be better. Like, I had a real shitty workout this week, and I was real honest with my clients about it. But I'm like, the next, still glad I got it done, and the next day got a better one. And don't beat yourself up over your quote unquote what you may view as failures, or don't give yourself a perspective of, like, you let yourself down if something wasn't perfect, because if somebody's telling you that they get it right 110% of the time, they're a liar. So it's just not how it goes. That's not real life. So try to give people as much real life perspective, and sometimes put messages out like that, because yeah, sometimes someone does need to hear it. And I really appreciate when it does speak directly to someone of, like, hey, that helped me. Like, I needed to hear that day. You know what I mean?
That's great. That's great. One last question. Is that a Mighty Duck? Is that a Ducks jersey on you?
Oh no, it's my fitness one.
Oh, good. For some reason, it looked like it said A. I saw the backwards A, and I was
Are
like,
you gonna
"Hey, a Ducks
cancel me
fan
if you
too."
what?
And then I'm always giving Fratty shit about being a Ducks fan because
Oh
I'm a
no.
Ducks fan.
I enjoy watching hockey. I have no particular favorites. If there's anything that I should be a favorite of, I'm from Arizona, so I should be a Phoenix fan,
Yeah.
but I
Uh,
don't
that-
have any particular favorites. So
well, thank you so
all
much
right,
for
thank
joining
you
us
guys.
and finding the time and everything. And I'm really happy you're busy, and I like where your headspace is at. I think it's really important for people to know that they don't have to just, it takes time to get where you want to go. It is mental fitness big time right now. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm fighting my demons every day myself. Everybody is right now. That's, having
Absolutely.
some struggles one way or the other that they're having to cope with being stuck inside, or wearing a mask, or business is slow, whatever it might be. And I
Mhm.
think that the fitness side of things can really clear your head out, and
Yeah.
having somebody like yourself that's actually takes a human side of it and talks to them and wants to find out and offer to go to the store with them, and that's fantastic.
Mhm. And this, I mean, hey, like I said, I've been in this journey consistently for 10 years. It hasn't looked the same the whole time, like, whether mentally or physically.
Yeah.
Like, what I've done for myself, like, I've done boxing, indoor climbing, like, just strength training, done cardio classes, like, a little bit of everything. Like, our body changes, our mind, like, how we think changes, our headspace changes. It's just a matter of uh being kind to ourselves and making changes where we need it, because we can't do the same thing and expect growth. We have to change things and change
Yeah.
the plan as we go. So try to be realistic, like I said, of the mental headspace and what the journey looks like. It's going to constantly shift, and it should be embraced. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's good.
Awesome.
That's good feedback. Well, all right. Well, listen, thank you so much. I guess you got some clients to get to, right?
Luckily not for the rest of the day, but it's typically
Oh, okay.
Sundays are my kind of my laptop work day, and I check in with my online training clients for the
Oh,
most.
good. Okay. And
Still works
you're
in
gonna
another form.
you're gonna keep the online going still. I mean, is that increased a little bit now too? So you're gonna have both the
Yes.
inside? Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of people who still aren't comfortable with, like, an in-person setting. I'm pretty booked up in person anyways. I had to close my books to, like, one-on-ones a while ago, and I only have a handful of spaces for people in my group training. But some people either aren't comfortable, or I have clients all over the country. So
Wow.
online work for anyone. I'm sure there's people in their states, their neighborhoods, whatever, but whatever it is they find about me more appealing, then I embrace that and try to. I kept it going. It is a lot doing in person and online, um, but at the same time, online, people fall out. Or I've had clients, they get to where they want and they feel comfortable enough to work out in the gym by themselves, and then they stop online, and it's fine. Like, that's
Yeah,
always
yeah,
my goal, is for someone to get to the point where they feel comfortable enough to go to those classes at their gym, or go to the gym by themselves, or go do whatever it is on their own. Like, you don't if you're training someone for 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it is, and they don't understand how to properly do a squat or something like that, then I've probably done a shitty job, doing what I do, because the goal is to build somebody's confidence enough to be able to do things on their own. And, some people never really feel like they need someone to tell them what to do, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that either way.
Yeah.
But sometimes it goes in that direction. So I always try to leave the room open, because, clients as a whole, as for anything else, they do come and go. So there's always going to be at least room for someone's journey is not necessarily ending, but they're, the little butterfly away, and then somebody else is ready to start their journey, so I have to bring in the new one. So try to keep it open as much as I can. I don't intend on getting rid of it. I do want to have as many ways of helping people as I can. So
awesome. I see a therapist coming in you sooner or later. Yeah. So all right, well, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. It's good to get into the fitness side of things. Brandi, thank you for bringing Brandi on. We've been fortunate to have some really good people lately, and we'll share, and we'll let you know when it's going live, probably Tuesday, right, Fratty, or tomorrow or whatever. And then
we'll get it.
We're picking up more followers every day, and we just enjoy doing it, and finding good people that we really. It was just like sitting back talking. I feel like I've known you for a long time, so thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I had a good time. That's try to have like as comfortable of conversation as possible, and it seemed like it flowed really well. So
all right,
awesome.
Cool.
And I already got an idea for an in-person podcast soon, where Scof gets put through the ringer and we try to make him puke or something. Like, I think that would be a good episode, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. That's it. I had a hockey coach that used to tell us that we better be training all summer before we went to his camp, and he'd literally come on the ice and put buckets on the bench.
Oh yeah.
Oh God. So let's do that. We'd like to do a person afterwards, so we'll definitely get back to you. Thanks again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can say honestly, I've definitely made a handful of clients throw up. Not intentionally, but it happens sometimes.
Awesome. Well, say hi to Ryan for me, and